Lily, an 8-year-old girl with a heart full of love and a fierce determination to protect her family, always put her little brother first, no matter how hard it was. For months, she endured in silence, hiding the pain and fear caused by her stepmother's cruel treatment, all to keep her brother and father safe. But one day, when her father comes home early, the truth is finally exposed. What he witnesses shatters his heart and changes their lives forever. Why did Lily's silence finally break on that fateful day? How did her bravery reveal the truth about her stepmother's hidden cruelty, and what ripple effects did it have on her family? Stay tuned to find out. And before we dive in, let us know where you're watching from today. And if this story of courage and sacrifice resonates with you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The warm sunlight streamed through the kitchen window, casting a golden glow on the bustling scene within. James Thompson, a tall man with kind eyes and a gentle smile, stood at the stove, flipping pancakes with practiced ease. His daughter, 8-year-old Lily, perched on a stool nearby, her legs swinging as she watched her father cook. "Daddy, can I help?" Lily asked, her eyes bright with eagerness. James chuckled, sliding a perfectly golden pancake onto a plate. "Of course, sweetheart. Why don't you grab the syrup from the fridge?" As Lily hopped down from her stool, her little brother, 4-year-old Max, toddled into the kitchen, rubbing his sleepy eyes. "Pancakes," he exclaimed, his face lighting up. James scooped Max into his arms, planting a kiss on his son's forehead. "Good morning, buddy. You're just in time for breakfast." The kitchen was filled with laughter and chatter as the small family sat down to eat. James watched his children with a mixture of love and sadness in his eyes. It had been 2 years since their mother, Sarah, had passed away, leaving a void in their lives that seemed impossible to fill. As Lily helped Max cut his pancakes into bite-sized pieces, James couldn't help but marvel at how resilient his children had been. Lily had stepped up, taking on a motherly role with her little brother, while Max's infectious laughter kept their home from feeling too empty. Yet, James knew something was missing. He longed to give his children the complete family they deserved, to provide them with a mother's love and guidance. The decision to remarry hadn't come easily, but James believed it was the right choice for his family. "Daddy," Lily's voice interrupted his thoughts. "Can we go to the park after breakfast?" James smiled, reaching out to ruffle her hair. "I wish we could, sweet pea, but remember? Today's the day we're meeting someone very special." Max looked up, syrup dripping down his chin. "Who, Daddy?" "Well," James began, his voice filled with anticipation, "I've been seeing someone named Rebecca. She's a very nice lady, and I think you two will really like her." Lily's brow furrowed slightly. "Is she going to be our new mommy?" James took a deep breath, choosing his words carefully. "Not right away, honey. But if everything goes well, and if you and Max are comfortable with it, she might become a part of our family someday." As they finished breakfast and got ready for the day, James couldn't shake the nervous excitement bubbling in his chest. He truly believed that Rebecca could be the missing piece in their family puzzle. Later that afternoon, a sleek white car pulled into the driveway. James straightened his shirt and took a deep breath before opening the front door. Rebecca stepped out, her blonde hair perfectly styled and her smile dazzling. "James, darling," she called out, her voice sweet as honey. She embraced him warmly before turning her attention to the children peeking out from behind their father's legs. Rebecca knelt down, her designer dress barely touching the ground. "And you must be Lily and Max," she cooed. "I've heard so much about you both." Lily stepped forward hesitantly, while Max clung to his father's hand. Rebecca's smile never faltered as she engaged the children in conversation, asking about their favorite toys and games. As James watched the interaction, he felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Rebecca seemed perfect, caring, attentive, and genuinely interested in his children. He couldn't have asked for a better potential mother figure for Lily and Max. What James couldn't see, however, was the calculating look in Rebecca's eyes as she surveyed the well-maintained house and the expensive watch on his wrist. To Rebecca, this wasn't about love or family, it was an opportunity. Growing up in a working-class family, Rebecca had always dreamed of a life of luxury and status. When she met James, a successful businessman and devoted single father, she saw her chance. His stable financial situation and respected position in the community were exactly what she had been looking for. As she charmed the children with stories and small gifts, Rebecca was already planning her future. She imagined the vacations they would take, the parties she would host, and the envious looks she would receive from her friends. James and his children were her ticket to the life she had always wanted. "Oh, James," Rebecca gushed later that evening as they sat on the porch, watching Lily and Max play in the yard. "Your children are absolutely delightful. I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed spending time with them today." James beamed, his heart swelling with pride and hope. "They seem to really like you too, Rebecca. I can't tell you how much that means to me." Rebecca placed her hand on his arm, her touch gentle and reassuring. "I understand how difficult this must be for you, James. Losing Sarah, raising 2 children on your own. You're an incredible father." James felt a lump form in his throat. "Thank you," he whispered. "It hasn't been easy, but Lily and Max, they're my whole world. I just want to give them the family they deserve." Rebecca nodded sympathetically, her eyes shining with what appeared to be genuine emotion. "And you will, James. I promise you, if you'll have me, I'll do everything I can to be the mother they need." As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the peaceful scene, James felt a sense of contentment wash over him. He watched as Rebecca played with Lily and Max, her laughter mingling with theirs in the evening air. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to believe that everything might just work out. Little did James know that beneath Rebecca's caring facade lay a heart driven by selfish ambition. As she hugged the children goodnight, her mind was already racing with plans for her new life, a life of comfort and status secured by her marriage to James. The days that followed were filled with family outings, home-cooked meals, and tender moments that seemed to solidify Rebecca's place in their lives. James found himself falling deeper in love, not just with Rebecca, but with the idea of giving his children the complete family he believed they needed. One evening, as James tucked Lily into bed, she looked up at him with serious eyes. "Daddy," she whispered, "I like Rebecca. She's nice." James felt his heart swell. "I'm so glad to hear that, sweetheart. I like her too." Lily was quiet for a moment, then added, "But she's not Mommy." James sat on the edge of her bed, gently stroking her hair. "No, honey, she's not. No one could ever replace your Mommy. But Rebecca cares about us, and she wants to be a part of our family. Is that okay with you?" Lily nodded slowly, a small smile forming on her lips. "I think Mommy would want us to be happy." James leaned down to kiss her forehead, blinking back tears. "I think so too, Lily. I think so too." As James closed Lily's bedroom door, he felt a sense of peace wash over him. He was doing the right thing for his family. He was sure of it. With Rebecca by his side, they could build a new life together, one filled with love, laughter, and the warmth of a complete family. But as James dreamed of their bright future, he remained blissfully unaware of the storm brewing on the horizon. Rebecca's true nature, hidden beneath layers of charm and false affection, would soon reveal itself, threatening to shatter the very family James was so desperately trying to rebuild. The early morning sun had barely peeked over the horizon when James Thompson's alarm clock blared to life. He groaned softly, careful not to wake his new wife, Rebecca, who lay sleeping peacefully beside him. As he quietly got ready for work, James couldn't help but smile. It had been 6 months since their wedding, and he felt like the luckiest man in the world. Tiptoeing down the hallway, James peeked into his children's rooms. Max was sprawled across his bed, his favorite stuffed dinosaur clutched tightly in his arms. In the next room, Lily slept soundly, her dark curls fanned out on her pillow. James's heart swelled with love for his little family. Before leaving, he scribbled a quick note for Rebecca. "Have a great day with the kids. Love you all, Dad." With one last glance at the quiet house, James headed out the door, ready to face another busy day at work. As soon as the sound of James's car faded into the distance, a change swept through the Thompson household. Rebecca's eyes snapped open, all traces of sleep gone. She sat up in bed, a cold glint replacing the warm affection she had shown James just moments ago. "Time to get this house in order," Rebecca muttered to herself, a smirk playing on her lips. She made her way to Lily's room, flinging the door open with a bang that startled the little girl awake. "Rise and shine, princess," Rebecca sneered, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "There's work to be done." Lily rubbed her eyes, confusion and fear battling on her young face. "But it's Saturday," she said timidly. "Daddy said we could sleep in and dash." "Your father isn't here," Rebecca cut her off sharply. "And when he's not here, I make the rules. Now get up and start cleaning this pigsty you call a room." Lily scrambled out of bed, her heart pounding. This wasn't the first time Rebecca had acted this way when her father was gone, but it still shocked her every time. As she began picking up toys from the floor, Rebecca stood in the doorway, arms crossed. "When you're done in here, I want the living room vacuumed, the kitchen floor mopped, and the bathroom scrubbed. And don't even think about waking your brother. He doesn't need to be bothered with your chores." Lily nodded silently, fighting back tears. She didn't understand why Rebecca was so different when her dad wasn't around. Where was the kind, loving woman who had promised to be like a mother to them? As Rebecca turned to leave, she paused, fixing Lily with a cold stare. "And remember, if you breathe a word of this to your father, there will be consequences. I'd hate for something unfortunate to happen to little Max or your dear daddy." The threat hung in the air like a poisonous cloud. Lily's eyes widened in terror. "Please," she whispered, "don't hurt them. I'll do whatever you want." Rebecca's lips curved into a cruel smile. "That's what I thought. Now get to work." For the next few hours, Lily worked tirelessly, her small hands raw from scrubbing and dusting. She moved as quietly as she could, determined not to wake Max. Her little brother didn't deserve to see this side of their stepmother, and Lily was resolved to protect him from it at all costs. As she dragged the heavy vacuum across the living room carpet, Lily's mind wandered to happier times. She remembered her real mom, with her warm hugs and gentle voice. She thought of her dad, always ready with a silly joke or a comforting word. How she wished she could tell him what was happening, but the fear of Rebecca's threats kept her silent. "Lily?" Max's sleepy voice called out from the top of the stairs. "What are you doing?" Before Lily could respond, Rebecca appeared as if from thin air, her face a mask of motherly concern. "Oh, Max, sweetie, did the vacuum wake you?" "Lily was just helping me clean up a little. Why don't you go back to bed for a bit longer?" Max rubbed his eyes, looking uncertain. "Can Lily come play with me instead?" Rebecca's eyes flashed dangerously for a split second before her saccharine smile returned. "I'm afraid not, darling. Lily has some important chores to finish. But I'll tell you what, why don't you go watch some cartoons in the den? I'll bring you some breakfast in a little while." As Max toddled off to the den, Rebecca turned back to Lily, all pretense of kindness gone. "Hurry up and finish in here," she hissed. "And remember, not a word to anyone." Lily nodded mutely, her heart heavy. She watched as Rebecca followed Max into the den, her voice syrupy sweet as she asked what he wanted to watch. The contrast between how Rebecca treated Max and how she treated Lily was stark and painful. As the day wore on, Lily continued her endless list of chores. She scrubbed toilets, dusted shelves, and even started on the laundry. All the while, she could hear Max laughing at his cartoons, blissfully unaware of his sister's plight. During a rare moment of rest, Lily found herself staring at a family photo on the mantelpiece. It showed her Max and their dad on a beach trip last summer, all smiles and sunburned noses. Rebecca had taken the picture, Lily remembered. She had seemed so happy then, so eager to be part of their family. "What happened?" Lily whispered to herself, tracing her father's smiling face in the photo. "Why does she hate me so much?" "Lily!" Rebecca's sharp voice cut through her thoughts. "Stop daydreaming and get back to work. Those windows won't clean themselves." With a heavy sigh, Lily picked up the spray bottle and cloth, moving to the large living room windows. As she worked, she caught sight of her reflection in the glass. Dark circles under her eyes and slumped shoulders made her look older than her 8 years. She barely recognized herself. "Lily, come here." Max called from the den. "I want to show you something." Before Lily could respond, Rebecca's hand clamped down on her shoulder. "Don't you dare," she hissed in Lily's ear. "You haven't earned the right to play yet." Tears welled up in Lily's eyes, but she blinked them back furiously. She wouldn't give Rebecca the satisfaction of seeing her cry. "Max," she called out, trying to keep her voice steady, "I'm still busy. Maybe later, okay?" A small part of Lily died inside as she heard the disappointment in Max's voice. "Okay, Lily." As the afternoon wore on, Lily's body ached from the endless chores, but her spirit remained unbroken. She might not be able to stand up to Rebecca directly, but she could protect Max from this nightmare. Every time Rebecca started to lose patience with Max's endless questions or energetic play, Lily would find a way to distract her, even if it meant taking on extra work or harsh words. Rebecca, Lily ventured timidly as she folded yet another load of laundry. Max hasn't eaten anything since breakfast. Maybe I could make him a sandwich. Rebecca's eyes narrowed suspiciously. Fine, she snapped after a moment. But make it quick. And don't think this gets you out of finishing the laundry. Lily hurried to the kitchen, her heart a little lighter at the chance to do something for her brother. As she prepared Max's favorite peanut butter and jelly sandwich, she allowed herself a small smile. No matter how hard things got, she would always look out for Max. Here you go, buddy, Lily said, bringing the sandwich to Max in the den. She ruffled his hair affectionately, treasuring this brief moment of normalcy. Thanks, Lily. Max beamed up at her. You're the best big sister ever. Lily's heart clenched at his words. If only he knew the truth. But she forced a smile onto her face. Anything for you, Max. I love you. I love you too, Lily, Max said through a mouthful of sandwich. As Lily turned to leave, she found Rebecca watching from the doorway. Back to work, Rebecca ordered, her voice leaving no room for argument. The rest of the afternoon passed in a blur of chores and exhaustion. As the sun began to set, Lily heard the familiar sound of her father's car pulling into the driveway. Panic gripped her heart. The house was spotless, but she was a mess, sweaty, disheveled, and on the verge of tears. Quick, Rebecca hissed, grabbing Lily's arm roughly. Go clean yourself up. And remember, not a word about today. Or else. Lily nodded frantically, rushing to the bathroom. She splashed cold water on her face and tried to smooth down her unruly curls. In the mirror, she practiced her best, everything is fine smile, even as her heart raced with fear and longing to tell her father the truth. As she heard the front door open and her father's cheerful greeting, Lily took a deep breath. She could do this. She had to do this. For Max. For her dad. She would keep their family safe, no matter the cost to herself. There's my girl, James exclaimed as Lily emerged from the bathroom. He scooped her up in a big hug, and for a moment, Lily felt safe again. Did you have a good day with Rebecca? Lily's eyes met Rebecca's over her father's shoulder. The stepmom's gaze was cold and threatening, a silent reminder of the consequences of speaking out. Swallowing hard, Lily forced a smile onto her face. Yes, Daddy, she lied, her voice barely above a whisper. It was fine. As James set her down and moved to greet Max and Rebecca, Lily felt a piece of her heart break. How long could she keep up this charade? How long could she protect her family from the truth? But as she watched Max bounce excitedly in their father's arms, chattering about his day of cartoons and play, Lily knew she would endure anything to keep that smile on her brother's face. She would be strong for all of them. The evening passed in a fog of forced normalcy. Rebecca played the part of the doting wife and stepmother to perfection, cooking dinner and asking James about his day. Lily picked at her food, her appetite gone, but she made sure to laugh at her father's jokes and nod along to Max's stories. As James tucked her into bed that night, he paused, a concerned look crossing his face. Lilypad, he said softly, using his old nickname for her. Is everything okay? You seem different lately. For a moment, Lily's resolve wavered. She wanted nothing more than to throw herself in her father's arms and tell him everything. But then she remembered Rebecca's threats, the danger to Max and her dad. She couldn't risk it. I'm fine, Daddy, Lily said, forcing another smile. Just a little tired. James studied her face for a moment longer before planting a kiss on her forehead. All right, sweetheart. But remember, you can always talk to me about anything. I love you. I love you too, Daddy, Lily whispered, fighting back tears. As the door closed behind her father, Lily finally let the tears fall. She cried silently into her pillow, mourning the loss of her carefree childhood and the weight of the secret she now carried. As weeks turned into months, the toll of Lily's secret struggle began to show. The once bright and bubbly 8-year-old became a shadow of her former self. Dark circles appeared under her eyes, and her shoulders seemed to carry an invisible weight. At school, her teachers noticed a sharp decline in her performance. Assignments were turned in late, if at all, and Lily's usual enthusiasm for learning had vanished. One evening, as James sat at the kitchen table reviewing Lily's latest report card, his brow furrowed with concern. "Rebecca," he called out, "have you noticed anything different about Lily lately?" Rebecca, who was preparing dinner, put on a mask of motherly worry. "Now that you mention it, she's been a bit quiet. But you know how kids are at this age. It's probably just a phase." James wasn't convinced. He watched as Lily listlessly pushed food around her plate during dinner, her eyes distant and unfocused. "Lily Pad," he said gently, "is everything okay at school? Your grades have been slipping." Lily's head snapped up, fear flashing in her eyes for a moment before she forced a smile. "I'm fine, Daddy. Just a little tired. The work's getting harder, that's all." James exchanged a worried glance with Rebecca, who merely shrugged. "Maybe she just needs a good night's sleep," Rebecca suggested, her voice dripping with false concern. Later that night, as James tucked Lily into bed, he tried again. "Sweetheart, you know you can tell me anything, right? If something's bothering you, I want to help." Lily's heart ached with the desire to spill everything, to seek comfort in her father's arms. But Rebecca's threats echoed in her mind, and she swallowed hard. "I know, Daddy, but really I'm okay. Just tired." James sighed, planting a kiss on her forehead. "All right, Lily Pad, but I'm here if you need me. Always." As the days wore on, James found himself increasingly torn. His business had hit a rough patch, demanding more and more of his time. Late nights at the office became the norm, and he often missed dinner with his family. The guilt gnawed at him, especially as he noticed Lily becoming more withdrawn. One Saturday morning, James made a decision. He'd take the day off, surprise the kids with a trip to the zoo. But as he announced his plans over breakfast, his phone buzzed with an urgent message from work. "I'm sorry, kids," he said, his heart heavy. "Something's come up at the office. I have to go in for a few hours." Max's face fell, but it was Lily's reaction that worried James the most. She didn't seem disappointed or angry. Instead, a look of resignation passed over her face, as if she'd expected this all along. "It's okay, Daddy," Lily said softly. "We understand." As James headed out the door, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was missing something important. He promised himself he'd make it up to them, unaware of the nightmare that was about to unfold in his absence. As soon as James's car disappeared around the corner, Rebecca's demeanor changed. Her eyes, cold as ice, locked onto Lily. "Well," she sneered, "looks like we have the whole day to ourselves. Time to get to work, princess." Lily's heart sank, but she nodded obediently. She knew what was coming. As Rebecca rattled off a list of chores that would have overwhelmed a grown adult, Lily steeled herself for the long day ahead. "And don't think about slacking off," Rebecca warned. "I'll be checking every inch of this house. If I find so much as a speck of dust, you'll regret it." As Lily scrubbed floors, dusted shelves, and tackled mountains of laundry, she kept one eye on Max. Her little brother, blissfully unaware of the tension in the house, played happily with his toys. Lily made sure to keep him occupied, suggesting new games or offering to read him stories during her brief breaks. "Lily," Max called out as she folded yet another basket of laundry, "can we play hide and seek?" Before Lily could respond, Rebecca's sharp voice cut through the air. "Max, darling, why don't you go watch some TV? Lily's too busy to play right now." Lily's heart broke at the disappointment on Max's face. "It's okay, Max," she said quickly. "Maybe later, all right? I promise we'll play as soon as I'm done." As Max trudged off to the living room, Rebecca fixed Lily with a cold stare. "Don't make promises you can't keep, princess. You'll be lucky if you finish before your father gets home." The day wore on, each hour feeling like an eternity to Lily. Her arms ached from scrubbing and carrying heavy loads of laundry. Her back hurt from bending over to mop floors and clean under furniture. But still, she pressed on, determined not to give Rebecca the satisfaction of seeing her break. During a rare moment of rest, Lily snuck into the living room to check on Max. She found him dozing on the couch, the TV playing softly in the background. With a gentle smile, she tucked a blanket around him and brushed a kiss on his forehead. "Well, isn't this touching?" Rebecca's mocking voice came from behind her. "If you have time for this, you clearly haven't finished your chores." Lily spun around, her heart racing. I was just making sure Max was okay," she stammered. Rebecca's eyes narrowed dangerously. Let me make something very clear, Lily. Your job is to clean this house and keep your mouth shut. Max is my concern, not yours. If I catch you slacking off again, there will be consequences. Do you understand? Lily nodded, fighting back tears. As she turned to go back to her chores, Rebecca grabbed her arm, her fingers digging in painfully. And remember, she hissed, if you breathe a word of this to your father, I'll make sure Max pays the price. Do you want that on your conscience? No, Lily whispered, her voice barely audible. Please, I'll do anything. Just don't hurt Max. Rebecca released her arm with a satisfied smirk. That's what I thought. Now get back to work. As the afternoon wore on, Rebecca's demands became increasingly unreasonable. She ordered Lily to reorganize the entire pantry, then criticized her for not alphabetizing the spices correctly. She made her scrub the bathroom tiles again, then complained that she could still see water spots on the mirror. Through it all, Lily remained silent, her jaw clenched in determination. She wouldn't give Rebecca the satisfaction of seeing her cry. She wouldn't let her win. But Rebecca wasn't done. As the sun began to set, and the sound of James's car pulling into the driveway reached their ears, she cornered Lily in the laundry room. Listen closely, Rebecca snarled, her face inches from Lily's. Your father can't find out about any of this. If he asks, you'll tell him we had a wonderful day. You'll smile and act like everything's perfect. If you don't, I promise you'll regret it. Do you understand? Lily nodded, her whole body trembling. As Rebecca stepped back, smoothing her clothes and plastering on a warm smile for James, Lily took a deep breath. She could do this. She had to do this. For Max. For her dad. Daddy's home. Max's excited voice echoed through the house, and Lily forced herself to smile. She walked out to greet her father, praying he wouldn't notice the tremor in her hands or the fear in her eyes. They're my two favorite people, James exclaimed, scooping Max up in one arm and pulling Lily close with the other. I'm so sorry about today. Did you have a good time with Rebecca? Lily felt Rebecca's eyes boring into her, the unspoken threat hanging in the air. She swallowed hard and looked up at her father, summoning every ounce of strength she had left. Yes, Daddy, she lied, her voice surprisingly steady. We had a great day. As James launched into a story about his day at work, Lily caught sight of her reflection in the hallway mirror. The girl staring back at her looked older, wearier. But there was a glint of steel in her eyes, a determination that hadn't been there before. In that moment, Lily made a silent vow. She would endure whatever Rebecca threw at her. She would protect Max at all costs. And someday, somehow, she would find a way to break free from this nightmare. Until then, she would be strong. She had to be. As the family settled in for dinner, the facade of normalcy firmly in place, Lily held on to that tiny spark of hope in her heart. It was faint, but it was there, and as long as it burned, she knew she could face whatever tomorrow might bring. The sun was just beginning to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in vibrant hues of orange and pink, as James Thompson pulled into his driveway. A smile played on his lips as he thought about the surprise he had in store for his family. For weeks, he had been working late, missing dinners and bedtime stories. But today, he had managed to finish early, and he couldn't wait to spend some quality time with his children. As he stepped out of his car, James noticed that the house seemed unusually quiet. Normally, he could hear the sounds of Max's laughter or the TV playing even from outside. Curious, he decided to enter quietly, hoping to catch his family off guard with his early arrival. James turned his key in the lock as softly as possible and eased the front door open. He was about to call out when he heard something that made his blood run cold. Rebecca's voice, harsh and angry, coming from the kitchen. I told you to mop this floor an hour ago. Rebecca's shrill voice echoed through the house. Are you stupid or just lazy? James froze, his hand still on the doorknob. This couldn't be right. Rebecca was always so kind, so patient with the children. He must have misheard. But then came Lily's voice, small and trembling. I'm sorry, Rebecca. I'll do it right now. Please don't be mad. Frowning, James crept towards the kitchen, his heart pounding in his chest. As he neared the doorway, he could see Lily, her small frame hunched over a mop bucket, her hands shaking as she wrung out the mop. Rebecca loomed over her, her face twisted in a scowl that James had never seen before. You're sorry? Sorry doesn't clean this floor, does it? God, you're useless. I don't know why your father keeps you around. James felt as if he'd been punched in the gut. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. This couldn't be the same woman he had married, the woman who had promised to love his children as her own. Just then, Max's voice piped up from the living room. Lily, can you come play with me? James watched as panic flashed across Lily's face. She glanced at Rebecca, who narrowed her eyes dangerously. Go, Rebecca hissed. Keep him quiet. I don't want to hear a peep out of him. And when you're done, you get right back here and finish this floor. Understood? Lily nodded quickly, her eyes brimming with unshed tears. As she turned towards the living room, James ducked back, pressing himself against the wall. His mind was reeling. How long had this been going on? How had he not noticed? He peered around the corner, watching as Lily entered the living room. Her entire demeanor changed in an instant. The fear vanished from her eyes, replaced by a forced cheerfulness that broke James's heart. Hey, Max, Lily said, her voice bright despite the slight tremor. Want to play a game? How about we build a fort with your blocks? Max cheered, and James could hear the sound of toys being dumped out. All the while, Lily kept glancing nervously towards the kitchen, where Rebecca could be heard muttering angrily to herself. James felt sick. The pieces were falling into place. Lily's declining grades, her withdrawal, the constant tiredness. How could he have been so blind? He was about to step into the room when Rebecca's voice rang out again. Lily, get back in here. This floor isn't going to mop itself. James watched as Lily's shoulders slumped. She turned to Max, forcing another smile. I'll be right back, okay? You keep building, and I'll help you finish when I'm done. As Lily trudged back towards the kitchen, James made his decision. He couldn't stand by and watch this any longer. Taking a deep breath, he stepped into view. Rebecca, he said, his voice low and dangerous. What the hell is going on here? Rebecca whirled around, her eyes wide with shock. For a moment, her mask slipped, revealing the anger and cruelty beneath. But then, as quick as lightning, her expression changed. A sweet, confused smile spread across her face. James, you're home early, she said, her voice sugary sweet. What do you mean? I was just asking Lily to help with some chores. You know how important it is to teach children responsibility. But James wasn't fooled. He had seen the real Rebecca, and there was no going back. His eyes flicked to Lily, who stood frozen by the sink, her face pale with fear. Lily, he said gently, go to your room, sweetheart. Take Max with you. Daddy needs to talk to Rebecca. Lily hesitated, her eyes darting between her father and stepmother. Rebecca's smile tightened, a warning glinting in her eyes. It's okay, Lily Pad, James assured her, using the old nickname. Everything's going to be all right. Go on now. Lily nodded, scurrying out of the kitchen. James could hear her whispered conversation with Max, and then the sound of little feet hurrying up the stairs. As soon as the children were out of earshot, James turned back to Rebecca. The fake smile was gone now, replaced by a defensive scowl. I don't know what you think you heard, James, but dash. Save it. James cut her off, his voice shaking with barely contained fury. I heard everything. I saw everything. How long has this been going on, Rebecca? How long have you been treating my daughter like a slave? Rebecca's eyes narrowed. You're overreacting. I was simply dash. Overreacting? James's voice rose, filling the kitchen. I come home to find you screaming at my 8-year-old daughter, forcing her to do housework, calling her useless? And you think I'm overreacting? Rebecca took a step back, her composure cracking. She needs discipline, James. She's lazy, disrespectful dash. Stop! James roared, slamming his hand on the counter. The sound echoed through the house, and upstairs, Max started to cry. James took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. I trusted you, he said, his voice low and intense. I brought you into our lives because I thought you would love my children. I thought you would help heal our family. But instead, you've been terrorizing my little girl. God knows what else you've done that I don't know about. Rebecca's face hardened. You don't know what it's been like, James. That girl is impossible. She dashed. She is my daughter. James interrupted, his eyes flashing. She is a child who lost her mother, who has been nothing but kind and welcoming to you. And this is how you repay her? By abusing her? By threatening her? Rebecca's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. James could see the wheels turning in her head, trying to find a way out of this situation. I want you out, James said, his voice cold and final. Pack your things and leave. Now. For a moment, Rebecca's mask fell away completely. Rage contorted her features, making her almost unrecognizable. You can't do this to me, she hissed. I'm your wife. You have no proof of anything. James stood his ground, unflinching in the face of her anger. I don't need proof. I know what I saw, what I heard, and I will not allow anyone to hurt my children, not even you. Especially not you. Rebecca's eyes darted around the room, as if looking for an escape. Then, abruptly, her demeanor changed. Tears welled up in her eyes, and she reached out to James pleadingly. James, please, she sobbed. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I've been under so much stress lately, and I just lost my temper. It won't happen again, I promise. Please don't do this. But James wasn't swayed. He had seen the real Rebecca now, and no amount of tears or promises could erase that. Save your act for someone who hasn't seen behind the curtain, he said coldly. I want you gone within the hour. If you're not, I'll call the police. Rebecca's face hardened once more. You'll regret this, she spat. You and that brat of yours. You think you can just throw me away? I'll dash. You'll what? James challenged, taking a step towards her. Threaten my children some more? Try to manipulate me? It's over, Rebecca. Get out of my house and stay away from my family. For a long moment, they stood there, locked in a silent battle of wills. Then, with a final venomous glare, Rebecca turned on her heel and stormed out of the kitchen. James could hear her stomping up the stairs, followed by the sound of drawers being yanked open and clothes being thrown into suitcases. James sagged against the counter, the adrenaline draining from his body. His mind was reeling. How had he let this happen? How had he been so blind to what was going on in his own home? A small noise from the doorway made him look up. Lily stood there, her eyes wide and uncertain. Daddy, she whispered. Is it over? In 2 quick strides, James crossed the room and scooped Lily up in his arms. She clung to him, her small body shaking with silent sobs. It's over, Lily Pad, he murmured, stroking her hair. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I didn't see what was happening. But it's over now. She's leaving, and she's never coming back. Lily pulled back slightly, her tear-stained face a mix of hope and fear. Really? She's really going away? James nodded, his own eyes filling with tears. Really? I promise you, Lily. I will never let anyone hurt you like that again. As they stood there, holding each other tight, James could hear Rebecca's angry muttering and the thump of suitcases being dragged down the stairs. He knew there would be consequences, legal battles, explanations to friends and family, the trauma that Lily would need to work through. But in that moment, none of that mattered. What mattered was the little girl in his arms, the trust that he had to rebuild, the family that he had to heal. James made a silent vow to himself and to his children. From this day forward, he would be more present, more attentive. He would listen, really listen, to his children, and he would do everything in his power to make their home a place of love, safety, and happiness once again. The front door slammed, the sound echoing through the house like the final note of a dark symphony. Rebecca was gone. James let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding, feeling as if a great weight had been lifted from his shoulders. Daddy? Max's small voice came from the top of the stairs. Why is Rebecca leaving? Why is everyone yelling? James looked down at Lily, then up at his son. Come here, buddy, he said softly. We need to talk. All of us. As Max came down the stairs, James led both children to the living room couch. Sitting down with one child on each side of him, he took a deep breath. I know things have been hard lately, he began, and I know I haven't been around as much as I should have been, but that's going to change. Starting right now. Lily looked up at him, hope shining in her eyes for the first time in months. Max, still confused, snuggled closer to his father's side. Rebecca did some very bad things, James continued, choosing his words carefully. She hurt Lily, and that's not okay. So she had to leave, and she's not coming back. Max's lower lip trembled. But she was nice to me. She gave me cookies and let me watch TV. James felt a flash of anger at Rebecca's manipulation, but he pushed it aside. I know, buddy, but she wasn't nice to Lily, and that's not okay. In this family, we love and protect each other. All of us. He turned to Lily, his heart breaking at the mixture of relief and lingering fear on her face. Lily, I am so sorry that I didn't see what was happening. Can you forgive me for not protecting you? Lily nodded, fresh tears spilling down her cheeks. It's okay, Daddy. I wanted to tell you, but I was scared. She said she'd hurt Max if I told. James pulled both children close, his own tears falling freely now. You don't have to be scared anymore, Lilypad. You're safe now. Both of you are safe. And I promise you, nothing like this will ever happen again. As they sat there, holding each other tight, James knew that the road ahead wouldn't be easy. There would be tears and anger, therapy sessions, and difficult conversations. But looking at his children, Lily's brave smile, Max's trusting eyes, he knew that they would get through it together. The sun had fully set now, the last traces of daylight fading from the sky. But in the Thompson house, a new day was dawning. A day of healing, of rebuilding, of rediscovering the love and trust that had been buried under months of fear and secrecy. James kissed the top of each child's head, his heart full of love and determination. How about we order some pizza and have a movie night, he suggested. We can build a blanket fort in the living room, just like we used to. The children's faces lit up, and for the first time in what felt like forever, genuine laughter filled the house. As James reached for the phone to order dinner, he silently renewed his vow. From this moment on, his children would always come first. He would be the father they deserved, the protector they needed. And though the scars of Rebecca's reign of terror would take time to heal, James knew that they would heal. Because love, real, unconditional love, was stronger than any darkness. And in the Thompson house, that love was shining brighter than ever before. As the warm glow of the television filled the living room, James Thompson sat on the couch, his children nestled on either side of him. The remnants of their impromptu pizza dinner lay scattered on the coffee table, a testament to the small moment of normalcy they had managed to create amidst the chaos of the day. But as the credits of their favorite movie rolled, James knew it was time for a conversation they could no longer avoid. He gently muted the TV and turned to face Lily and Mac's kids. He began, his voice soft but serious. I think it's time we talked about what's been happening in our family. Lily suddenly burst into tears. The dam that had been holding back months of fear and pain finally broke. James immediately gathered her into his arms, his heart breaking at the sight of his little girl's anguish. It's okay, Lilypad, he soothed, stroking her hair. You're safe now. You can tell me everything. And so, with halting words and choked sobs, Lily began to confess. She told her father about the endless chores, the harsh words, the constant fear that had become her daily reality. She described how Rebecca would transform the moment James left for work, turning from a doting stepmother into a cruel taskmaster. She made me clean everything, Daddy, Lily hiccuped, her small body shaking with each word. The floors, the windows, the bathrooms. And if I didn't do it right, she'd get so angry. She'd say such mean things. James felt a surge of anger and guilt wash over him. How could he have been so blind? How could he have let this happen under his own roof? Lily continued, her voice barely above a whisper. She said if I ever told you, she'd hurt Max. Or you. I was so scared, Daddy. I didn't want anything bad to happen to you or Max. So I just did what she said. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I'm sorry I lied. James pulled Lily closer, his own tears falling freely now. Oh, Lily, he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. You have nothing to be sorry for. I'm the one who should be apologizing. I should have seen what was happening. I should have protected you. Max, who had been listening with wide eyes, scooted closer to his sister. Is that why you were always so tired, Lily? Why you didn't want to play anymore? Lily nodded, reaching out to take her brother's hand. I'm sorry, Max. I wanted to play with you, but Rebecca said I had to do chores instead. I tried to keep her from being mean to you. James felt a swell of pride amidst his sorrow. Even in her darkest moments, Lily had been trying to protect her little brother. "You were so brave, Lily," he said, hugging both of his children tightly. "But you don't have to be brave alone anymore. I'm here now, and I promise I will never let anyone hurt either of you again." As Lily's sobs subsided into quiet sniffles, James gently lifted her chin so she was looking into his eyes. "Lily, I need you to know something. What Rebecca did was wrong. Very, very wrong. Adults should never treat children the way she treated you. It wasn't your fault, and you didn't deserve any of it." Lily nodded slowly, a glimmer of understanding in her tear-filled eyes. "Really? You're not mad at me for not doing the chores right?" James felt his heart break all over again. "Oh, sweetheart, no. I'm not mad at you at all. You're a child, Lily. Your job is to learn, to play, to be happy, not to be a maid in your own home." Max, still trying to process everything he'd heard, looked up at his father. "But Daddy, Rebecca was nice to me. Why was she mean to Lily?" James sighed, trying to find the right words to explain such a complex situation to a 4-year-old. "Sometimes, Max, people can be nice to one person and mean to another. But that doesn't make it okay. What Rebecca did was wrong, no matter how she treated you." As the night wore on, James listened as Lily shared more details of her ordeal. Each revelation felt like a knife to his heart, but he knew how important it was for Lily to finally release all the pain and fear she'd been holding inside. When Lily had finally exhausted herself, falling into a fitful sleep on the couch, James carried her up to her room. As he tucked her in, he made a silent vow. Things are going to change, starting right now. The next morning, James woke early. He had barely slept, his mind racing with everything he needed to do. As he sipped his coffee, he made a series of phone calls, to his lawyer, to a child psychologist, to his boss. By the time Lily and Max came downstairs for breakfast, James had a plan in place. "Kids," he said as they settled at the table, "we need to talk about what happens next." Lily looked up from her cereal, a flicker of fear crossing her face. "Is Rebecca coming back?" James shook his head firmly. "No, Lily. Rebecca is never coming back. In fact, I've already spoken to a lawyer. We're going to make sure that Rebecca can never hurt you or any other child again." He explained in simple terms about the legal actions they would be taking, filing charges for child abuse and psychological manipulation. He assured them that they would be protected every step of the way. "But what about your job, Daddy?" Lily asked, worry creasing her young brow. "You're always so busy." James reached across the table, taking Lily's small hand in his. "That's changing too, Lily Pad. I've talked to my boss, and I'm going to be working from home more often. My family comes first, always. I lost sight of that for a while, but never again." Over the next few weeks, the Thompson household underwent a transformation. James took a leave of absence from work to focus on his children's healing. They attended therapy sessions together, learning to process their emotions and rebuild their trust in each other. Slowly but surely, Lily began to blossom again. The dark circles under her eyes faded, replaced by the sparkle that had been missing for so long. She started to laugh more, to play with abandon, to simply be a child again. One sunny afternoon, as James watched Lily and Max playing in the backyard, he felt a lump form in his throat. Lily was teaching Max how to do a cartwheel, her patience and gentleness a stark reminder of how much she had been forced to grow up in such a short time. "Daddy, look," Max called out, attempting a wobbly cartwheel that ended with him sprawled in the grass, giggling. James clapped and cheered, his heart swelling with love. "Great job, buddy. You'll be a pro in no time with Lily teaching you." Lily beamed at the praise, helping Max to his feet. "Come on, Max. Let's try again. Remember what I said. It's okay if you don't get it right away. We've got all the time in the world to practice." As he watched his children play, James reflected on how close he had come to losing everything that truly mattered. He had been so focused on providing for his family financially that he had neglected their emotional needs. He had trusted the wrong person, nearly at the cost of his daughter's well-being. But as he saw Lily's genuine smile, heard Max's carefree laughter, James felt a renewed sense of purpose. He would never again lose sight of what was truly important. His children were his world, and he would move heaven and earth to keep them safe and happy. The legal proceedings against Rebecca were ongoing, but James was determined to see justice served, not just for Lily, but for any other children Rebecca might have hurt or might hurt in the future. It wasn't an easy process, But James drew strength from the resilience his children showed every day. As summer turned to fall, life in the Thompson household settled into a new rhythm. James worked from home most days, making sure he was always available when his children needed him. Family dinners became a nightly tradition, filled with laughter and stories about their day. Lily's grades began to improve, her natural intelligence shining through now that she was free from the constant stress and exhaustion. She joined the school's art club, discovering a talent for painting that brought her joy and self-expression. Max, too, was thriving, with Lily happier and more present. Their sibling bond grew stronger than ever. They became inseparable, partners in everything from homework to backyard adventures. One crisp autumn evening, as James tucked Lily into bed, she looked up at him with eyes full of trust and love. "Daddy," she said softly, "I'm not scared anymore." James felt his heart swell. He leaned down, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "I'm so glad, Lily Pad. You're safe now, and you always will be. I promise." Lily nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "I know, Daddy. Because we're a team now, right? You, me, and Max. We look out for each other." "That's right, sweetheart," James agreed, his voice thick with emotion. "We're a team, always and forever." As he turned out the light and softly closed Lily's door, James paused in the hallway. He could hear Max's soft snores coming from the next room, the gentle hum of the house settling for the night. In that moment, he felt a profound sense of gratitude wash over him. Yes, they had been through a terrible ordeal. Yes, there were still challenges ahead, but they had come through it together, stronger and more united than ever before. James knew now, with absolute certainty, that nothing would ever come between him and his children again. He made his way downstairs, settling into his favorite armchair with a sigh. As he looked around the living room, his eyes fell on a new family portrait hanging on the wall. It showed James, Lily, and Max at the park, their faces alight with genuine happiness. It was a far cry from the posed, stilted family photos of the past year. James smiled, remembering the day that photo was taken. It had been a spontaneous trip to the park, a celebration of Lily's first successful therapy session. They had played on the swings, chased each other around the playground, and shared ice cream cones that melted faster than they could eat them. It had been a perfect day, one that reminded James of the simple joys of being a father. As he sat there, reflecting on their journey, James felt a renewed sense of purpose. He knew that their story could help others, could perhaps prevent another child from suffering as Lily had. With that in mind, he pulled out his laptop and began to type. "Dear friends," he wrote, "I want to share a story with you. A story of pain and healing, of betrayal and redemption. But most of all, a story of love, the unbreakable love between a father and his children." James poured his heart out onto the page, detailing their experiences with honesty and raw emotion. He wrote about the warning signs he had missed, the importance of open communication with children, and the healing power of unconditional love and support. As he neared the end of his letter, James paused, considering his words carefully. "I share this story not to gain sympathy," he typed, "but in the hope that it might help someone else. If you see a child withdrawing, if something doesn't feel right in a family, please don't ignore it. Speak up. Ask questions. Be the advocate that child might desperately need." He finished the letter with a call to action. "I invite you to share your thoughts, your experiences, your advice. What would you do in a similar situation? How can we, as a community, better protect our children? Let's start a conversation. Let's make sure no child has to suffer in silence as my daughter did." With a deep breath, James hit post, sharing their story with the world. As he closed his laptop, he felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Their ordeal had been painful, but if it could help even one other child, then some good would come from their suffering. James stood up, stretching as he made his way upstairs for one last check on his children before bed. He paused in Lily's doorway, watching her peaceful sleep. Gone was the tension that had marred her young face for so long, replaced by the serene expression of a child who felt safe and loved. Next, he peeked in on Max, smiling at the way his son had kicked off all his blankets in his sleep. Gently, James tucked him back in, smoothing his unruly hair with a tender hand. As he settled into his own bed, James felt a sense of peace wash over him. Yes, they had been through a nightmare. Yes, there was still healing to be done. But they were together, they were safe, and they were loved. And in the end, that was all that truly mattered. James closed his eyes, ready to face whatever challenges tomorrow might bring. Because now he knew, as long as they faced those challenges together, as a family, they could overcome anything. And so, dear readers, we come to the end of this chapter in the Thompson family story. But in many ways, it's just the beginning. A beginning of healing, of growth, of a love that's stronger than ever before. We invite you to reflect on this tale. What would you do if faced with a similar situation? How can we all be more vigilant, more supportive, more aware of the silent struggles that might be happening right next door? Share your thoughts, your experiences, your wisdom. Together, we can create a community of support, a network of vigilance that protects the most vulnerable among us, our children. And remember, in the face of adversity, love truly can conquer all. It can heal wounds, rebuild trust, and create a future brighter than we ever imagined possible. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Until next time, hold your loved ones close, listen with an open heart, and never underestimate the power of a father's love. If you found this story moving or meaningful, please consider liking and subscribing for more tales that touch the heart and stir the soul. Together, we can make a difference, one story at a time.